you're aware that they're appointed at good behavior. They're not subject to being removed at will. You're aware of that?
No.
Okay. And you understand, I understand you have an understanding of the SNC Lavalin, Jody Wilson-Raybould scandal, though, do you not?
Yes.
Right. And the issue with that is that the political executive trying to use Ms. Raybould-Wilson essentially tried to skirt the act with respect to advising prosecution services on how to conduct themselves. Is that fair?
Yes, I guess.
Okay.
I'm not intimately familiar with.
Right. And the problem with that is that act, you know that any direction from the political executive via the Minister of Justice, the Attorney General, that seeks to compel the Director of Public Prosecution Services to do something, it has to be through the legislative process, and then whatever they direct them has to be published in a gazette within 6 months. Are you aware of that?
No.
All right. And you agree that your Office of Commissioner has no such safeguards, does it?
No.
And you know that the common law in policing is that you as Commissioner and other chiefs of police throughout the country and the common law world really are to be 100% independent from the political executive.
Yes.
And you agree with me that the political executive...
I would say, though, we do get direction on the administration side of the policing, but not the operational side.
Right. And you can agree with me that the political executive should not be placing undue pressure on you or directing you what to do with respect to policing other than the administration part.
Yes.
Right. And it's true, and I'm not trying to poke, but it's public knowledge that previously the political executive has asked you to do certain things in investigations, such as release information that could undermine an investigation. You remember that?
You'll have to be more specific of what you're referring to.
You agree that happened when you were asked by federal ministers to release the form of firearms the RCMP in Nova Scotia knew were used in the mass shooting while the investigation was ongoing? Remember?
But what are you referring to specifically?
I'm referring to the issue with respect to releasing the forms of firearms for the purpose of furthering the legislation.
There was no pressure to do that.
Right, but the minister asked you to do it.
No, the minister asked me if, in fact, the information about the firearms would be part of a media release.
Right, and when
he didn't ask me to put that in there.
Right, and when it wasn't, there's the transcript and the recording with respect to that, that you had said to some of your colleagues, why couldn't this have been done? The minister asked for a small ask, why wasn't it done?
That's not the context in which that was taken.
Okay. Now, I take it that, would you agree that the executive branch of the federal government, both yourself and you, Deputy Commissioner, they tried to tell you what action to take during the protest, didn't they?
Sorry, they asked us to what?
They tried to tell you what actions to take in policing during the protest.
Absolutely not.
Did they not ask you, they wanted you to take it over?
No.
Right. So the clerk of the Privy Council and you, Assistant Commissioner, did not have a phone call on February 3rd, 2022, recorded in your notes, where they said that we need to take this over.
Yeah, but saying it and doing it is two different things.
Right. Can I take you, can we please bring up document pb.nsc.can.00008073_rel.0001. A copy of your notes, sir. There's two copies of your notes. The one that my friends had been referring to in your summary statement, just so you're aware, that's document 8073. This is the other set, or that was document 8074. There's another set, and there's some highlighting that you've made in these notes, and I'm going to take you to it. Beginning first, we'll go right to the February 3rd note. Which is on, my apologies. I believe it's 19. If we can go to page 19, please. All right, so we'll begin at the top that says February 3rd. That's the note for the day.
Mm-hmm.
If we can scroll down. Just a second here. Just keep going. Oh. If I could just have a moment.
Sure.
And so just for your understanding, this was the record we found that was deposited over the weekend. That's why I'm having a little trouble navigating it. Okay, great. There's actually a second one. It's on page 19, I believe. That's the MINS call. Well, we'll start with this one. And this is the minister's call at, if you can scroll up. Right, so 12:30. And that's the minister's call, and I take it that the Minister of Public Safety and the Minister of Emergency Preparedness is on that call with you?
I would have to check the minutes, but I just have minister's call. Normally it would be Minister Menachino, sometimes Algabra, and I see Blair a little further down. That's correct.
Right, so, and there it states, question, Mendocino's observations, and non-policing response, seeing way more, or seeing way, can you tell me what that says? It's
Saying way more traffic, can't make out the last word. Saying way more traffic.
and does not seem to be a plan, must start with enforcement. So it tells you that,
Yeah,
right? And then Bill Blair, of course, that's the Minister of Emergency Preparedness. He's the former Chief of Police of Toronto, is that correct?
that's correct.
And he says the PM is increasingly concerned about how the city will deal with this. Is that right?
According to my notes, correct?
Right. And so you agree that, you know, as a police officer, you're trained to take notes, right?
Yeah,
And you take notes of conversations and investigations contemporaneously to the investigation?
correct.
And you write down relevant material matters that you want to remember later in time, right?
Key points that I want to remember or brief up.
Right. So it's fair to say that these things that you wrote down, this is what was said to you by those two ministers, correct?
Yeah,
Okay. And if we can scroll down to the next page, please. And this was already put in the other set of notes, but there I see that Minister Mendocino, he says to you that his colleagues feel unsafe going to the Hill. They feel, is that harassed, or what
yeah.
does that say?
Feel harassed. Yeah,
Yeah,
shorthand written.
yeah. And then what is it, the second?
Concern of Ottawa, Central Citizens Essential Care,
Counter protests.
counter protests.
Right, okay. So if we can keep scrolling down, actually, I think I understand why I had it wrong, the date I had with respect to when you had the meeting with the clerk of the Privy Council is actually the 9th. So I'm going to take you down to February 9th. Let me just find that there. And that's 41, page 41. Or, yeah, so at the top there, you see that's the date, the 9th. and it says call with clerk, 800. And that's the clerk of the Privy Council, is that correct?
I would assume so.
Right. And you were there flushing out financials, financial compensation, employees' business, and PS, are you referring there as Peter Slawley or public safety?
Let me just read it here.